couple of months ago, we picked up a cheap greenhouse off of the internet that we could use to do some epoxy work in up under the carport, keep the bugs off the epoxy when we're doing that. Now I want to see if I can take that structure, bring it out here, use it in the garden. It'll give us an early start on getting some plants growing for the garden out here. Eventually we'll replace it with a more permanent greenhouse, but this is just a quick, easy thing I can do today. Strengthen the structure, make it usable, hopefully get through one season or maybe a couple of years like this. What I have done first is the area I'm going to put this greenhouse, I've come out here and I've actually dug out the kind of clay soil that's in this area, replaced it with pretty good topsoil. And I left the center of the greenhouse area lower. I filled that up with asphalt, crushed asphalt that I had, give a good walking surface in here. Set the greenhouse frame in place, and this greenhouse structure is made of about 5/8 inch tubing that's been bent into an archway, and it's kind of flimsy, moves around a lot. Because of how the wind comes through here, this greenhouse, the long side of it faces to the south, catches the brunt of the wind coming across the field. So if it's not strengthened, I'm afraid that it'll just flatten down. Back when this property used to have a cattle farm out here, they had dug an access down into the creek for the cows to go out into the creek to get water. And they put these cattle gates across the creek to keep the cows in place. I ended up pulling these gates out of the creek. A lot of them were bent up from the current pushing on them. They aren't usable anymore as gates, but they are a good source of some poles and pipes that I can use for various projects around. This is the corner of one of the gates that I've already cut off. As you can tell, it's got a bend in it, and it has a 90-degree angle. What I'm doing is I'm cutting these pieces to drive down into the ground, and I've notched out so they'll fit up against the inside of the greenhouse frame. Just a little bit of copper wire will hold them in place. I'll do that on all of these upright pieces, and that'll give some rigidity to it. When I get the other side in, it'll be less flexible. And then I can lay some boards across in here to put plants on in pots. I can also put plants down in the ground underneath where it's good dirt. The other thing I did just to make this a little bit more usable, this greenhouse is only about 6 feet tall. It has screws that stuck down where they go together with sharp points on the end. I've just cut the ends off of those screws so I don't drive those into my head as I bend up in here. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of pick through my scrap metal pile of gates over there, cut them up, find what I can use to brace up the sides here. We'll come back in a little bit and show what that looks like, and then we'll try to get the cover on here. I've cut up pieces of the old cattle gate, stuck them in the ground, wired them to the frame on the sides. Then I've covered over with duct tape any exposed metal parts because I don't want the vinyl cover of the greenhouse to hit on anything that could cut it. But it's a lot sturdier now. Has very little side-to-side wiggle. A little bit on this corner here, but the cover itself will have guy wires that go out that will support this better on the open end here. The next thing I'll do is I'll dig a trench on the outside so that the cover can go down into the ground. That'll be covered over with dirt. And because it is just so windy again, we might not be able to get this cover on till tomorrow or till this wind dies down. The wind died down enough that I was able to get the cover on the greenhouse and bring in dirt to put over the flaps on the outside. That'll be a raised bed out there. I'll build some rock walls around this. We'll plant annuals probably around the outside of this. This greenhouse was a very flimsy structure. It cost less than $100 on the internet. But now with these support pieces on the sides, it's really very sturdy. I think it'll hold up to some wind. We'll see how well this cover lasts out here. I'll come in later on and I'll put some boards over these side support pieces, just give an extra place to put plants up here, and again there'll be plants that could be grown into the ground on either side of the little walkway into here.